Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love, here with your weekly episode or weekly edition of Sports Overview Topics. Good to be back after a few days of work, and it's a good amount to talk about today on the podcast. Went over the NFL schedule, the complete NFL schedule of 2022, and we'll be going over my division predictions and just basically early predictions for the NFL season. Talk about Nick Saban's comments about parity and Texas A&M. Give my 2 cents on that. The Orlando Magic, they won the NBA draft lottery. Talk about the NBA playoffs so far as well as much more. But thank you for joining me. Of course, the only takes 2 seconds, but the description is down in the corner if you want to see more sports review topics where I cover more sports news topics. Just many things in the sports community, etc. Give my thoughts on those, etc. You can find videos on the homepage as well as notifications of when my videos are actually posted. Of course, I try to get, now that I'll be going back to school in a couple months, it may change, but still mostly Tuesdays around afternoon ish is when I try to get those videos uploaded. So you can get those on the homepage, but thank you all, and let's get into it without that out of the way. So I literally went through. Now, again, it's judgmental. It's judgmental because, you know, we're so far and away from the NFL season, which starts in the fall. But it's a nice prelude. It's a nice look ahead for, anybody to look at the schedule, which came out a week and a half ago or so. And like I said last week, it's kind of an indictment when you look at your own team's schedule, because you're like, you know, well, if you're a real fan, you know how good, or have an idea of how the teams on your schedule are. And you're like, oh, if you're a fan, you feel good about your team's chances at that point to scratch out a good record, possibly win the division, etc. Or you look at your team's schedule and be like, oh geez, it's like Murr's Row as far as, good team after good team after good team your team is left to face, and it's going to be an uphill battle for your team already going to the upcoming season. So it's kind of a good sentiment or good or bad sentiment. Just you like to have an idea about your team. But after going through one by one, week by week, I have scratched together my early season predictions, and some are not surprising. A couple were. If you've been following my power rankings for the NFL, my pre-draft and post, you can get a little bit of an idea of where my predictions go. But yeah, some very good games, which I went over last week on episode 99. Also, if you're wondering, get the look there, as I literally went through the whole grid. The whole grid. Oh, primetime games and all. And yeah, I was able to go through all the games, but let's start with the AFC. So, the AFC's, no surprise, I got the Bills winning the division at 13-4, and actually having the best record in the NFL, despite that great bad luck in facing the Rams opening day this season. But that's going to be something to look forward to. But yeah, needless to say, Josh Allen, Von Miller, signing Jameson Crowder along with Diggs and Gabriel Davis. It's not difficult to see. Let's just do the tape thing really quick. So that way you guys can see me kind of looking at the camera. Should have done this start, but oh well. Be easier to look at my face and not my top of my head. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, the Bills 13-4. The Patriots, I have at 9-8 in second place. The Patriots have a okay schedule. They have some tough games. Sled. It's difficult when you look at Miami and the Jets, because I love what the Dolphins have brought in. I love what the Jets have done. Bring in nice young players to help Zach Wilson's development, but it's just a case of games on their schedule, who you move up, who you move down. It's just but yeah, Patriots 9-8. Dolphins, despite their vast improvements and reshaping the roster, it's gonna be a case of Tua, and so far in what I've seen, I'm just not that confident in for Tua to, or the Dolphins rather. Now, like I just mentioned, they brought in a lot of improvements, but it's a lot of new on the offense. So, gonna be interesting to see how they go. But I have them at 5-12. Jets 4-13. You know, they are. I think the Jets are a team that's 2 years away. You know, I think next year they will be a team provide Zach Wilson's development to be hovering around 500, and then 2 years team to contend, definitely contend. AFC North, talk about different than what I had last year. Now, I did, for those who watch, I did have the Bengals for my first prediction as 9-8 last year. But I obviously didn't think I trusted the Browns and Steelers more. I was like, maybe a reach, but should have stuck with my gut on that Bengals last year. But as far as the Bengals go this year, for my predictions, 12-5. 12-5. I have the Bengals staying strong and winning the division. You know, it's hard to deny the weaknesses that the Bengals we saw have. They did a really good job in replacing. You know, of course, I bet we were pretty surprised that the Bengals did not go all on the offensive line till the mid to later part of the draft, but that just shows you what the enforcements they've rung in through free agency. They're feeling good. They're feeling good on that area, protecting Joe Burrow. Falling just slight below at second, the Browns at 11-6. Now, of course, with the Browns, it becomes a question mark. Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, that whole fiasco. How's it going to turn out, and how's it going to shape up the schedule for the Browns? Well, I predicted this as if Watson was playing, even a big amount of the schedule. So, kind of an asterisk, but yeah, 11-6. I have the Browns. Ravens, third place at 9-8. You know, the Ravens are not going to have, I don't think, as many injuries as they did last year. And we forget kind of they were 8-3 last year, and they lost 6 straight to end the year and fall out of the playoffs. And but their biggest problem going to be this year is obviously the Bengals improvement, the Browns, now with Deshaun Watson, the Steelers, they're trending up with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, so that's going to be tough. Tough, tough. And speaking of the Steelers, I have them in last place at 8-9, respectful 8-9. You know, Mitch Trubisky, I don't think is going to be a bad settlement. Well, whether it's going to be Trubisky or Pickett this year for Steelers, I don't think it will be bad settlement for Pittsburgh because we know their offense, and we saw last year with Big Ben, you know, he wasn't as nimble as he used to be. Trubisky can provide the wheels, you know, if need be. Najee Harris is only going to get better in his second year. That line, which was very adjusted, will get better. That defense still riding with TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, etc. It's gonna be it's gonna be still Sam Pat. So yeah, the Steelers will still be a pain in the neck this season. Moving to the South, the AFC South. Yes, no AJ Brown, but Titans go 12-5 in my record. 12-5. They win the South. Robert Woods and Traylon Burks this season provide with a healthy Derrick Henry the whole season. Getting us on Haskins, I really liked because, you know, yes, that injury last year, Henry, was a freak injury, but still, you want to be precarious because you want to keep that big boy running well till January and possibly February. So there's that. Colts, I have them doing better at 10-7. You know, Matt Ryan is going to provide I think will provide more consistency as opposed to Carson Wentz last year. Although it may not see a lot in wins, but still think the Colts will rise well and make enough for the playoffs. Jaguars, you know, last year was bad. I just call it what it is, bad. Bad situation. Now with Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence with a new frame of mind, Yang ETN, two great first round picks, and Devin Lloyd and Trayvon Walker, improvements on offense. Jags I got respectable 8-9. It's gonna be good. Texans, I wish I could say otherwise. I did love their draft. I do like Davis Mills, but when I looked at the roster, I felt bad. 4-13. 4-13. Although I'm not gonna say bad 4-13. I mean, they're gonna be fighting through a lot of these games. I could see them going 7-10 as well. But yeah. AFC West, it's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be a dogfight. Let's say it how it is. I got the Raiders, though, clinging in at first place. You know, at 11-6. You know, it's just difficult to not love what the Raiders have done. And basically, I had everyone in this division on the schedule beating each other up. So it's going to be not the attractive of records, but still, I think this is the only division where I had everyone finishing above 500. So, makes sense. I have the Raiders, though, waiting at 11-6. You know, on and on. Chargers just behind. I have them at 10-7. Although still making the playoffs. Chiefs right behind at 9-8. You know, tough sledding start the schedule, but they power through at the end. Broncos, you know, obviously Russell Wilson, there are big expectations, but in this division, you know, tough sledding. So got them still finishing well, but 9-8, unfortunately. Let's move to the NFC side. NFC side. So NFC East to me was also a dogfight to pick, but not as great as records as the AFC West, but decent. Cowboys got them winning at 9-8. You know, I like the Cowboys, but I feel underwhelmed really with the Cowboys. Looking at their schedule, I was very meh. Just very meh. Commanders, Eagles right behind, both tying at 8-9. You know, people want to harp on Wentz, I get it, because of his inconsistency. But if he can just be basically a game manager and, you know, just do a little, and when it comes to the recklessness, then I can definitely see him being respectable, if not winning the division, when you look at their roster. So, and Eagles again, I think they had a hell of a draft, but Jalen Hurts, I still have some questions about. So, and their coaching staff, so we'll see. Giants 7-10, not terrible, but not great. I still have my reservation. Last year I didn't think, I wasn't thinking Daniel Jones was going to have a Josh Allen type jump, but I thought he would at least improve. And injuries, bad play calling, etc., and bad play just didn't develop. And yeah, Giants at 7-10. Hopefully they can prove me wrong as well. Packers, NFC North. You can kind of get a sense of where I'm going. Packers, I have winning the division 13-4. Vikings, second place 8-9. I said before, they are a team I can see finishing anywhere between 7 and 12 wins, or 11 wins. They're hard to figure out. Lions, I have right behind 7-10. They will make improvements. I like their roster. I like their coach staff. But not quite there yet. Chicago Bears. I did like some of what they did. I mean, Kyle Gordon pick, Vitas Jones, Darnell Mooney, obviously Justin Fields, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, but not a lot there. They didn't do a lot. So, fortunately, Bears fans, 4-13. AFC South, I did make some changes to the record and a couple of the records in this division. So, Bucks, I have obviously winning at 11-6. I love what the Saints have done. They could very well be, 13 wins. It's alright. I would not be surprised if they made a deep playoff run with their roster. I have them at 9-8 in second place. And Panthers and Falcons tied at 4-13 to round out the South. And then last, but certainly not least, as far as divisions go, I got the NFC West. So, winning the division, Rams 12-5. Despite winning the opening game, I have them losing or having the worst record between them and the Bills. Second place, making the playoffs, the 49ers, the 11-6. I'm not sure how the quarterback situation is going to go, but know for a fact they still have a damn good roster in San Fran. Cardinals, they finished third, but still very good. 10-7, making the playoffs. So, and the Seahawks, 5-12, and that may be generous for Seattle. So, excuse me. So, according to these playoffs, I have, or these predictions, I have Cowboys winning the East, Bucks winning the South, Rams winning the West, Packers winning the North, and the 1 seed. And then wildcard teams, I got the 49ers, Cardinals, and the Saints. So, pretty not surprising as far as the NFC goes. As far as the AFC goes, so I got the Bills with the best record and the bye, winning the East and the 1 seed in the AFC. Bengals winning the North, won by the Titans, and the Raiders winning the West, leaving the Browns, Chargers, and the Colts as my wildcard team. So, pretty interesting. But, yeah. So my early predictions for 2022 season. Now I get out of the way. Nick Saban has been under fire the last couple days due to remarks. First of all, he made about Texas A&M. Bizarre accusations as far as Texas A&M Jimbo Fisher about buying all their players. Well, first of all, Texas A&M received the most 5-star rated recruits last season for the NCAA. And according to Nick Saban, he said they bought every one of their players, which is just crazy and asinine to think about. I mean, look, the Crimson Tide, Bama, and the Patriots are, I'll just talk about college football. The Alabama Crimson Tide, for the last number of years, pretty much for the 21st century, have been the machine of college football. Putting in through new players, they get mostly the best players, and you know, they churn them out, they recruit them, they do well. They don't do great when they hit to the pros, but you know, get the best players from high school, recruit them, and you know, won a lot of national. They're usually always in the upper tier of college football, whether it's near the playoffs, in the playoffs, contending, or winning a national championship. They're usually there. So, but now to make an accusation as such as Texas A&M paying all their players for to go there is just a outlandish comment. An outlandish comment. Comment. I said condiment, sorry. Whoops. But yeah, it's just a big comment to make, and it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You know, I have no problem with consistency and gratitude. Consistency and gratitude. And, you know, I mean, we don't know a whole lot, but I mean, to not be grateful for how consistent your team has been through and through, and then to make a comment that outlandish about a team that has paved the way and done really well for themselves as well for Texas A&M, it's just mind-boggling. And then for Nick Saban to say he wants more parity in college football. Now, I didn't read a whole lot about it or didn't hear a whole lot, but him saying he wants more parity in college football, that's a bit hilarious when you put two and two together. Because one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why there's a lack of parity and a lack of why people are turned off about the playoffs and why people are advocating for a advanced college football playoff is the Alabama Crimson Tide. The Crimson Tide, you know, have won many titles, national titles, the last couple of years. And why people sometimes talk about the SEC being pretty much a bias, well, it's not just Alabama as well, it's also the SEC, it's the committee, it's people, it's it's not a good system, not a great system in the NCAA, and needs to be fixed. Now, Nick Saban complaining about parody. Just hilarious when he complains that Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M bought every one of their 5-star recruits. That's just hilarious. And just mind-boggling. But that's my 2 cents about the subject. Take it how you want. But yeah, it's just silly. Well, it was not so silly, but still good. Good for the Orlando Magic. They won the NBA draft lottery last week. You know, the NBA draft lottery is kind of a weird, system and kind of, you know, I mean, it's good to an extent. It's good to an extent because, of course, you have that kind of randomness of, who will be in the top 4 and who will get the top picks. Now, there are a decent amount of pretty good prospects in this NBA draft. So there's that. But the Magic have been very not well the last decade or so. Not been where towards the part of the bottom, they were respectable to an extent with Vucevic, but then obviously they traded him to the Bulls last season. They have some good pieces, some decent pieces. Jalen Suggs, I like. He's a young guy for him. Cole Anthony, sometimes he's great. Sometimes he can pull out like a 30 piece, and sometimes you don't hear about him. So he's inconsistent, but he's shown that capability. So, good for them. Hopefully, whether it's Sabari Smith, that guy out of Duke who I can't pronounce the last name, but good for them. Hopefully, they can take it and turn it into a big positive going forward for their program. But um but yeah, nonetheless, that's what I had for the podcast today. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hey, good. I didn't want to go too long, although it was the 100th episode of Sorts of Topics, but hope you guys enjoy it nonetheless. I know I've been running a bit long the last couple weeks. Just that season, I guess. But if you like this video, be sure to click the thumbs up and leave one as well. Again, description there in the corner. Find more videos on the homepage. But thank you all. Be safe. I'll be back next week for episode 101. And hopefully, well, seems like we'll get the preview of the NBA playoffs, NBA finals. See how it goes, but nonetheless, see you all next week. Adios. Peace.